Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Tonight we're keeping things extra soft and sleepy, so if you're listening to this as part of your nightly wind down, you're in exactly the right place. Story 1. So as we drift out of that calm forest and into our first real story, I want you to picture something very simple and very human. A tired person, a noisy neighbor, and a very quiet plan to get their nights back. Nothing explosive, nothing dramatic, just a slow, steady path toward that warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served. We're still in our cozy Minecraft world, maybe placing lanterns along a little village path, the soft block sounds acting like white noise in the background. On the other side of your headphones, though, in a small apartment with thin walls and stubborn vibrations, there's someone who just wants one thing: to wake up rested for their early shifts without feeling like they spent all night at a club they never agreed to attend. The conflict in this story is simple. Late-night music that somehow gets louder after midnight, weekend party noise that stretches into Monday morning. That specific thumping bass you don't just hear, you feel, pulsing through the mattress and the floorboards. Our protagonist isn't looking for drama, they're looking for sleep. They want to set their alarm, close their eyes, and actually believe they'll stay comfortable until morning. I know, revenge stories for bedtime sounds a little counterintuitive, but this one is more like a gentle puzzle than a fight. No door slamming, no screaming in the hallway, just a quiet person, running on too little sleep, slowly realizing that if the neighbor won't remember that night is for resting, they might need a reminder that doesn't involve raising a voice at all. So, this all started when I moved into what I thought was my dream apartment. I just landed a job that meant early mornings, the kind where your alarm goes off before the sun even thinks about showing up. The place was small, but it felt cozy. I could hear the distant city hum, the kind of background noise that actually helps you drift off to sleep if you let it. For the first few nights, everything was perfect. Then the music started. Not gentle background music, but that deep party bass that turns your wall into a speaker. At first, I told myself it was a one-time thing. New neighbor, maybe a little housewarming party. I put a pillow over my head, focused on my breathing, and tried to pretend the vibrations in my bed were just the Minecraft footsteps you're hearing now. They weren't. The next night, it happened again. And again. Different songs, same pounding beat, always starting just when I needed to close my eyes. I dragged myself into work feeling like I'd pulled an all-nighter I never signed up for. I could have banged on the wall. I could have yelled. Instead, I started paying attention. Patterns, times, little details. Because if my neighbor was going to forget that nights are for sleeping, I was going to remember every single thing they did. And tucked quietly between my exhaustion and my patience, the soft outline of a plan started to form, a plan my neighbor definitely didn't see coming. 1552. Story 1 setup: months of lost sleep and ignored complaints. So welcome back to the channel. And as I'm placing these soft little Minecraft blocks down, let's dive into what those nights actually felt like. Because a plan doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It grows out of 100 tiny moments where you lie there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, listening to someone else treat your apartment like their personal concert hall. My neighbor's favorite thing in the world seemed to be loud music with way too much bass. Not fun, sing-along music. I'm talking that constant, heavy thump that sends vibrations through the walls, through the floor, right into the mattress. I'd be curled up, trying to get comfortable, and I could feel each beat, like a tiny earthquake under my pillow. Some nights the music blended into shouting, laughter, and that specific, we're having a party and forgot other people exist kind of noise. Guests would come and go at all hours. The hallway door clicking open at midnight, at 2, at 3. Footsteps, heels on tile, loud goodbyes that echoed like they were in my living room instead of outside. It was like living under a nightclub that only opened when normal people were trying to sleep. Meanwhile, I had early morning shifts and a long commute that meant my alarm went off when the sky was still that deep pre-dawn blue. Sleep wasn't optional, it was survival. If I didn't get enough, I'd be nodding off on the train, rereading the same sentence in emails 3 times, fighting that heavy, foggy feeling behind my eyes. You know that tired where your body feels both heavy and jittery at the same time? That was my default setting. And all because someone downstairs decided every night was a Friday night party. At first, I tried to be reasonable. I did the polite knock on the door, the friendly smile, the "Hey, I get up really early. Would you mind turning the music down a bit after 11 conversation? For a night or two, it would kind of work." The volume would dip. The vibrations would ease, and I'd think, okay, maybe this is fixed. Then the next weekend, or sometimes even the next night, the speakers would roar back to life, somehow even louder. I emailed the landlord. I called the office. I got the classic, "We'll talk to them" response. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Either way, nothing changed for long. On one especially rough week, I made a quiet call to the non-emergency police line. They came, the music went down, and then, like clockwork, a few days later the party atmosphere returned, bass rattling my headboard. It wasn't explosive anger. It was this slow, steady drip of frustration. Night after night, complaint after complaint, brushed off like I was the one being unreasonable for wanting sleep in my own apartment. While I walk through this peaceful Minecraft forest and the soft footsteps blend into your room like white noise, just imagine that same calm space constantly punctured by someone else's chaos. The final straw came on a night before a huge day. I had a major presentation at work, the kind where you have to stand in front of people who decide your future and pretend you're not running on fumes. I prepped my slides, set my clothes out, even tried to wind down early. I dimmed the lights, grabbed your favorite blanket moment in spirit, and told myself, tonight, I'm actually going to sleep. Right on cue, around 11, the bass started. Slow at first, like they were testing the waters, then building into a full-on wall of sound. Guests laughing in the hallway, door slamming, someone shouting over the music. My mattress hummed with every beat. Midnight passed. 1 a.m. passed. I lay there in the dark, eyes wide open, listening to the vibrations and feeling my carefully planned morning crumble. Instead of drifting off, my brain shifted gears. If I couldn't sleep, I could plan. I started mentally listing dates, times, exact songs they played, how long each party lasted. I pictured emails with timestamps, a neat little log, maybe even some video with the sound levels clearly captured. While my body begged for rest, my mind quietly turned toward revenge. Not the loud, dramatic kind, but the calm, methodical kind that eventually gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served. By the time the sky started to lighten, I still hadn't slept. But I had something else. A clear idea of how to turn all those ignored complaints into proof. And as the last song finally faded, I lay there in the gray morning, not drifting off to sleep, but mapping out exactly how my noisy neighbor's own behavior was going to come back to haunt them. 2110. Story 1 Turning Point. A late-night idea and an old physics lesson. Lying there in that gray, sleepless morning, with the last echo of their music still buzzing in my skull, something in me quietly shifted. You know that point where you're too tired to even be angry, but also too wired to close your eyes and drift off? That's where I was, staring at the ceiling of my cozy little apartment and listening to the faint vibrations humming through the walls. I know, revenge stories for bedtime sounds counterintuitive, but there's something oddly calming about turning chaos into a plan. So welcome back to the channel, and grab your favorite blanket in your mind, because this is the moment where the story tilts. As their last party song faded, a different kind of rhythm started up in my head. Not music, but memory. Out of nowhere, I remembered this old college physics class. It wasn't anything fancy, just one of those big lecture halls where the professor did little demos to keep us awake. One day, he stretched a spring across the room and sent a slow wave down it, talking about how energy moves through a medium. Then he started talking about sound, how it's really just air squishing and stretching, and how low sounds can travel farther and slip through walls like they're not even there. At the time, I was mostly thinking about lunch, but now, in the middle of this never-ending night, that lesson floated back up. I could almost hear him saying that some frequencies you don't so much hear as feel, those low, rumbling notes that make your chest buzz a little. The kind that slide under doors and through drywall like a quiet little ghost. With that thought lingering, I rolled onto my side, keeping the room dark and cozy, and picked up my phone. The screen felt almost too bright against the soft shadows, so I dimmed it down to a sleepy glow. While the Minecraft footsteps you're hearing in the background just pad along slowly to help you drift off to sleep, I was doing my own kind of slow exploration. Scrolling, searching, reading. I started small. Low-frequency speakers. Bass transducer. Vibration speaker for walls. No wild plans yet, just curiosity. Reviews talked about people building home theaters, feeling explosions in movies, turning couches into rumble seats. Over and over, I saw phrases about how you could feel the sound without it being loud in the room. Quiet on one side, intense on the other. It was almost funny in a sleepy, ironic way. My neighbor loved blasting music through my ceiling. But what if there was a way to send something back that didn't have to be heard to be impossible to ignore? Let's dive into that warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served a little deeper. After a few more searches, one product page made me pause. The specs were simple, the reviews were glowing, and everyone kept mentioning how well it sent vibrations through solid surfaces. I read every line, heart beating slow but steady, like the calm walk through a Minecraft forest at night. Then, in the quiet of my dark apartment, I took a breath, tapped the button, and added the perfect little device to my cart, already imagining exactly where it might go. 2449. Story 1 Preparation. Building the perfectly quiet counterattack. Welcome back to the channel, where even our petty little science projects are designed to help you drift off to sleep. I know, revenge and relaxation sounds like a weird combo, but just imagine it as a cozy redstone build in Minecraft. Precise, quiet, and strangely satisfying. A few days later, the package arrived. No dramatic music, no fanfare, just a small, unassuming box on my apartment doorstep, waiting in the soft hallway light. I brought it inside, set it gently on my desk, and for a moment just listened to the quiet of the night around me, like standing still in a peaceful Minecraft forest biome. When I sliced the tape, it made that slow, sticky peel that always feels a little ASMR, like placing wool blocks one by one. Inside was the low-frequency transducer, wrapped in dense foam. It was heavier than it looked, solid, reassuring. I turned it in my hands, feeling the cool metal, the rubbery mounting pad, already imagining those tiny vibrations traveling through the wall instead of through my ceiling. Let's dive into the setup, because this is where the warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served starts to take shape. First, I stood in the middle of my apartment and just listened. Above me, it was quiet for once, but I knew exactly which section of wall backed up to their favorite party corner. I pressed my palm flat against the paint, feeling the faint texture of old roller marks, remembering every thump of bass that had come through that spot. I laid out a thin layer of foam padding on my side, like building a little soundproof sandwich. The idea was simple: keep the energy going into the shared wall, not echoing back into my own space. The tape made gentle rips as I pulled it free, each strip smoothing down with a soft brush of my fingertips. Screw by screw, I fixed the bracket into place, turning the screwdriver slowly, feeling the resistance of the drywall, never rushing, the way you'd calmly stack blocks before bed. When I mounted the device, it settled in with a tiny, satisfying click. I plugged it into a smart plug, the plastic cool and smooth, and opened the app on my phone. This was the timeline of my quiet counterattack. I set it to turn on just after midnight on Fridays and Saturdays, right when their music usually hit that "we've completely forgotten other people exist" level. Pattern interrupt here. I didn't crank it up. I started at the absolute lowest setting. I sat on my bed, turned it on, and listened. A faint hum, a soft buzz through the wall, nothing more. I walked to my door, checked the hallway, silence. Back inside, I nudged it a little higher, always checking that my own room still felt comfortable and calm. To protect my own sleep, I slid my bed a little farther from that wall, angled it like moving a Minecraft bed to a quieter corner of the base. I added a small white noise machine by my pillow, a gentle whoosh like in-game rain, and laid out my favorite earplugs on the nightstand, just in case. My side of the apartment stayed a cozy little cocoon, while the shared wall became a quiet lesson in empathy, scheduled and automated. By the time I finished, everything was set, foam in place, device mounted, timer programmed, escape plan for my own comfort ready to go. All I had to do now was wait for the next party night, and let the wall do the talking. 2847. Story 1, execution begins. Week 1 of subtle payback. The next party night landed on a Friday, like clockwork. I remember sitting on the edge of my bed, Minecraft humming softly on my monitor, thinking, welcome back to the channel, chaos. Only this time, I was ready. I waited until the bass on their side settled into that familiar chest-thudding loop, glass clinking, laughter leaking through the wall, the whole apartment vibrating just a little. Then I reached over, flicked the timer to manual, and turned the device on to the lowest setting. Barely a whisper. More like a cat purring than a machine. In my room, I had my own cozy soundtrack going. Calm Minecraft footsteps, soft block placements, that gentle cave ambience turned way down. I told myself, grab your favorite blanket, We're just going to let this play out. I lay back, focusing more on the Minecraft-like white noise than on the party next door. The wall felt still under my fingers. For a while, nothing happened. 10 minutes passed. 15. I started to wonder if I had overestimated everything. And then, like someone had yanked a cord, their music cut out mid-beat. Silence except for my tiny in-game footsteps and the faint hum of the device. Through the wall, I heard muffled footsteps, a confused voice. Did the speaker die? Another. Why is the floor buzzing? A chair scraped. Someone thumped the shared wall once, like that would answer anything. On my side, I just kept stacking virtual planks, letting the story and the vibrations unfold together. Night 2, I stuck to the same plan. Low setting, same cozy Minecraft stroll, same calm breathing to help you drift off to sleep if you're listening along. Their party started later and ended earlier. Around midnight, the music stopped, then came back at a lower volume, like they were trying to outsmart something they couldn't quite name. I heard a soft, irritated, "It's doing it again," followed by another dull thump on the wall. By midweek, the changes were clearer. In the hallway the next morning, I passed my neighbor for the first time since installing everything. His voice, usually bright and too loud for that hour, sounded rough around the edges. He had new bags under his eyes, that grayish tint of not quite enough sleep. On the phone, he muttered, "No, I swear, there are these weird vibrations at night. It's messing with my speakers." Each night, the pattern repeated. I'd log in to my cozy little Minecraft world. Let's dive into a simple building project, and quietly turn the device on low. Their parties grew shorter. More breaks. More, "What is that?" drifting faintly through drywall. One evening, the music stopped completely after only an hour, replaced by them pacing and opening cabinets like they were hunting a ghost. I could feel that warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served starting to bloom, but I kept the settings gentle. No instant chaos, no dramatic reveal, just a slow, steady lesson in empathy, night after night. And as that first week wrapped up, I realized something important. The real fun was only just beginning. 3212. Story 1, Escalation, Confusion, Paranoia, and Quieter Nights. The real fun was only just beginning. Week 2 rolled in like a slow, cozy fog. By this point, you and I are just gliding through this Minecraft world together, placing blocks, listening to those soft little clicks that help you drift off to sleep, while upstairs my neighbor was starting to come apart at the seams. It started with the complaints, not to me, of course, to the landlord. One quiet afternoon, I heard his door open, then that familiar voice in the hallway, low and tense, talking about a weird hum in the apartment. He said there were strange vibrations in the walls, like the building was breathing. Meanwhile, I was on my couch, controller in hand, acting like I was just enjoying a very normal, very cozy night. A day later, the landlord knocked on his door with maintenance in tow. I heard them walking around, tapping on pipes, running the shower, flushing toilets, checking the electrical panel. It was like a full dungeon crawl, but the boss they were hunting was my little device, gently purring away on a timer. I kept my own door cracked just enough to hear them, but not enough to look suspicious. Eventually, there was a knock on my door too. "Hey, have you noticed any strange sounds?" the landlord asked. I put on my best sleepy, slightly confused face, like I'd just woken up from the most peaceful nap. I said I'd heard some music and the occasional party, but no hums, no odd vibrations, nothing wrong with the apartment at all. I even offered that maybe the building was just settling, the way old places do at night. They thanked me and left, and that's when the pattern really started to shift. The next weekend, his music still started up, but it didn't last. Instead of pounding until 2 or 3 in the morning, it faded out around 11. The party chatter upstairs turned into a few quiet laughs, then silence. One night, I realized I hadn't heard him come home at all. The apartment above me stayed dark and still, like an unloaded Minecraft chunk. For the first time in months, I slept straight through the night. No bass, no yelling, just the soft white noise of the building and the kind of deep, comfortable sleep you forget you're capable of. I woke up rested, actually rested, with that warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served humming in the background instead of his speakers. As week 3 rolled in, the paranoia upstairs was almost louder than his old music. I'd catch snippets of phone calls through the floor, him telling someone he couldn't deal with this haunted apartment, saying the walls were buzzing, that he felt vibrations even when everything was unplugged. He talked about breaking his lease, about moving out, about how something is wrong with this place. Down on my couch, In my quiet little world, I just kept building, kept breathing slow, and let the consequences stack up like neatly placed blocks, knowing the breaking point was getting closer with every calmer night. 38, Story 1, Payoff, the noisy neighbor, finally moves on, and that breaking point finally showed up on a random Tuesday night. I was in my cozy little Minecraft world, smoothing out a path with stone bricks, when the usual thumps next door suddenly spiked into full-on shouting. It wasn't the chaotic party noise this time. It was sharp, focused, and angry. Through the wall, through the apartment door, I could hear my neighbor going off on the landlord in the hallway about how the building was unlivable, how the vibrations were ruining his sleep, how he couldn't relax for a single night. The irony was pretty rich. Even muffled, I could make out phrases. He complained about phantom music, about feeling bass through the floor, about how someone is doing something in this building and you're not taking it seriously. The landlord, who had brushed off my polite little emails and shrugged at my earlier noise complaints, suddenly sounded very awake and very concerned. His voice had that tight customer service edge you only hear when someone's thinking about bad reviews and empty units. While they argued, I just kept placing blocks, slow and steady, low volume, calm breathing, letting their words blur into background sound, like distant thunder you know won't reach you. Within a couple days, the tone in the hallway changed completely. The landlord knocked on my door, all smiles now, asking if everything was comfortable and quiet in my apartment. He mentioned, very casually, that my neighbor was thinking about other housing options, and that, if needed, the company could help facilitate a transfer or early lease termination. Funny how that help only appears once the noisemaker starts complaining about their own lost sleep. From there, it was like watching the end of a long, messy redstone chain finally fire. Moving boxes started appearing outside his door. First just a couple, then stacks of them, taped up and labeled. The constant door slam softened into occasional footsteps. No more midnight pre-party music tests. No more 3 a.m. vibrations rattling my wall. Every night the sounds got a little thinner. A drawer closing here, a box being dragged there. Then, one evening, nothing. Just the soft hum of my fridge, the gentle click of my controller, and that low Minecraft ambience that's basically white noise for the brain. A few days later, I noticed the door next to mine propped open, completely empty inside. Blank walls. Bare floor, no speakers, no subwoofers, just silence. The landlord walked by, almost cheerful, talking about turnover and fresh starts. That night I did something small but symbolic. I unplugged my little device for good, coiled the cable, and tucked it away in a drawer. No more counter vibrations. No more carefully timed white noise, just natural quiet. I moved my furniture back to how it was before all the chaos. Bed back against the wall I actually liked. Desk in the sunny corner again. It felt like resetting a Minecraft world after clearing out all the creepers. Same map, but suddenly safe. The difference in my life was immediate. My sleep got deeper. I stopped waking up at random hours, waiting for a bass drop that never came. Mornings felt softer. My mood lifted. Even simple things, like making tea at night or listening to calm music, started to feel cozy again instead of defensive. And as I lay there in the dark, listening to absolutely nothing, I had that warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served, not because I screamed or fought or broke any rules, but because I stayed patient, documented, and let his own behavior push him right out the door. So now, when I say welcome back to the channel and tell you to grab your favorite blanket, I mean it in a whole new way. I know firsthand how powerful quiet can be. These stories, this calm Minecraft world, they're here to help you drift off to sleep in peace, the way I finally can in my very quiet little apartment. 40:02. Story 1. Reflection. Gentle karma and unseen justice, and that's really the heart of this first story, isn't it? All that chaos, all those late-night vibrations and music and party noise, and in the end, the only time the landlord actually leapt into action was when the noisy neighbor himself got uncomfortable. When it was your sleep on the line, he shrugged. When it was the golden tenant upstairs suddenly complaining, suddenly losing his cool, the landlord was on the phone, in the apartment, fixing things immediately. There's this gentle, almost funny irony there. You tried to be reasonable. You sent messages, you explained how the sound carried through the building, you asked for help. Nothing. But the moment the party king couldn't handle his own private earthquake, suddenly it was an emergency. It's like the universe quietly tapped the landlord on the shoulder and said, "Hey, this is what they've been telling you about." No yelling required. That's part of why this revenge feels so cozy. You didn't need to slam on the ceiling with a broom or bang on the door at 3 in the morning. No screaming matches in the hallway. No dramatic showdowns in front of the whole apartment complex. Just patience, a bit of creativity, and a little bit of science humming away in the background, like a very polite ghost. There's a special kind of satisfaction in solving a problem that way. Softly, calmly. You go about your day while the device does its thing, and the person who made your nights miserable slowly starts to connect the dots. Their sleep gets interrupted. Their comfort is disturbed. And you're there, sipping tea, maybe watching Minecraft, knowing you finally nudged the world back into balance. What makes it even sweeter is that you were the last person anyone suspected. The landlord trusted the upstairs neighbor. The neighbor probably assumed you were still just the quiet one downstairs, putting up with everything. Meanwhile, you were the one actually restoring peace to the building. It's that warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served without anyone even realizing who set the scales straight. I know. Revenge stories for bedtime sounds counterintuitive, but when it's this gentle, it almost feels like a lullaby. No one got hurt. No property was destroyed. The worst thing that happened was a noisy guy finally learning what a bad night of sleep really feels like. While we're talking about peace, take a look at the screen for a second. I'm just walking along this little path we built earlier, placing lanterns every few blocks, letting that soft golden light spill out over the grass. Each lantern is like a tiny promise of quiet. One more step away from chaos, one more step toward a comfortable night. So welcome back to the channel, in this new, calmer sense. If you haven't already, grab your favorite blanket, let your shoulders drop, and listen to the gentle clink of blocks and the low music in the background. The worst of this story is over. The apartment is finally quiet. And as we finish decorating this cozy room in Minecraft, we're going to drift into our next set of stories, where the justice is just as satisfying, but the edges stay just as soft, to help you drift off to sleep. 40, micro reset. Breathe, listen to the blocks and drift deeper. So now that the apartment is finally quiet, you can almost feel that first story settling in your chest, like a deep exhale. There's something so satisfying about that moment, when the noise stops, the chaos is over, and you realize you're actually going to get a full night of sleep for once. It's that warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served, but in a way that lets your nervous system finally stand down. Before we move on, let's take a tiny micro reset together. Just notice the Minecraft world for a second. The soft footsteps on grass as I wander around. The gentle clink as I place each block, one by one, like slow, sleepy metronome ticks. Maybe you can hear the faint in-game music humming underneath everything, almost like white noise wrapping the night in a blanket. If there's a hush of rain outside this little virtual window, let that sound layer in too. Footsteps, rain, blocks, music. That's sensory stacking for your brain. A cozy little wall of predictable vibrations that tells your body, hey, it's safe, you can relax now. You don't have to watch the screen, you can just let the sounds wash over you while you drift. While you're listening, check in with your own body for a moment. Notice your shoulders. Are they creeping up toward your ears a bit? If they are, let them slide down, like they're sinking into the mattress or the couch. Notice your jaw. Is it clenched from the day, from that imaginary party upstairs in your head, or from your own real-life apartment drama? See if you can loosen it just a little. Let your tongue rest soft against the roof of your mouth. Take one slow breath in through your nose. Hold it gently for a beat. Then let it out through your mouth like you're fogging up a window in this Minecraft house we're decorating. Nothing fancy, nothing technical, just easy, comfortable breathing to help you drift off to sleep. And if you're already feeling drowsy, that's perfect. You don't need to stay fully awake for the next stories. This video is long on purpose. It's totally okay if the details start to blur, if you fade in and out, and only catch little snapshots of revenge and cozy Minecraft building. Your brain still hears the steady narration and the quiet block sounds, and it understands that the night is calm and under control. So if your eyes want to close, let them. If you miss a plot twist, that's actually a win. You can always come back another night. For now, just stay here with the footsteps, the rain, the blocks, and my voice, keeping everything soft and even. In our next story, we're heading into a different kind of noisy environment. A petty boss in a very bright office who seriously underestimates just how organized one of their quiet employees really is. Welcome back to the channel. Grab your favorite blanket if you've somehow kicked it off, Get comfortable and let's dive into the next set of stories together. 4705. Story 2, Intro. The boss who thought overtime was free. So, I used to work for this company where the office always felt way too bright for how tired everyone was. You know that kind of place? Fluorescent lights buzzing, fake plants in the corner, and people running on stale coffee and pure obligation. While the Minecraft world is calm and slow on your screen right now, imagine the exact opposite kind of environment. A manager who thinks time is free as long as it's your time. Welcome back to the channel if you've drifted in and out during the last story. You're safe here, you're allowed to be sleepy, and the only overtime happening tonight is in this cozy little world of blocks and soft footsteps. I know, revenge stories for bedtime sounds counterintuitive, but there's something oddly soothing about hearing how someone finally gets their boundaries respected, especially when it's done with patience, documentation, and just letting company policy do all the heavy lifting. At this job, my manager had this unspoken rule that staying late is just part of the culture. No extra pay. No thanks, just a tight smile and, we're all a family here, while people quietly missed dinners, kids' bedtimes, and any chance of a peaceful night. The emails would roll in at 9:30 p.m. with quick favors, and early morning calendar invites would appear like little digital landmines. Burnout wasn't a risk, it was the default setting. I remember sitting there one evening, long after the sun went down, feeling that heavy, exhausted ache behind my eyes, the kind where even the softest music can't keep you comfortable anymore. I wasn't furious. Not yet. It was more like this slow, quiet annoyance, a kind of low-level hum that matched the office lights. I just wanted simple things: clear hours, honest pay, and the basic respect of being able to log off without guilt. So I did what a lot of people in these stories eventually do. I started reading the rulebook. While you're watching me place these calm little blocks, picture me scrolling through company policy and local labor laws instead of social media, page by page, clause by clause. It turns out, the same company that loved to talk about family also had very strict written rules about overtime, timekeeping, and retaliation. They just counted on no one actually reading them. From that point on, my revenge wasn't loud. There were no dramatic confrontations, no shouting matches in glass-walled conference rooms, just quiet note-taking, careful time logs, and saving every single email that hinted overtime was mandatory but unpaid. I treated my inbox like a cozy little archive, each message another block in a very different kind of build. The funny, gently ironic part is that my boss thought they were being clever with all their cheerful, pushy messages. They had no idea that their own words, their own timestamps, their own digital paper trail were slowly stacking up into something they couldn't wiggle out of. As those messages piled higher, like a tower in Minecraft casting a long shadow over the apartment of my work-life balance, there came a night when I realized I finally had enough. Enough proof, enough policy, enough quiet resolve. And that's when the vibrations in this story really start to shift, because the next email my manager sent, that one turned out to be the beginning of their undoing. 50-50. Story 2 setup. Burnout, broken promises, and we're a family. So while that email is quietly sitting there in the background of our story, like a block you've placed but haven't interacted with yet, let's zoom out a bit and look at the world this all grew out of. Grab your favorite blanket, let your shoulders drop, and just picture this cozy little Minecraft base on screen, while I walk you through a job that was anything but cozy in real life. On paper, it was a great opportunity. In practice, it was 12-hour shifts that were magically labeled as 8, a chronically understaffed team, and a culture where leaving on time was treated like you were abandoning a sinking ship. If you stayed late, you got praise, maybe a slice of cold party pizza, and a "you're such a team player" speech. Overtime pay, though? That was apparently as mythical as a naturally spawning diamond block on day one. The boss, we'll call her Patricia 2.0, had this favorite line. Whenever people started packing up anywhere near their scheduled time, she'd smile and say, "Oh, come on, we're a family here. Families don't clock out on each other." It sounds warm the first time. By the 50th time, it feels less like a hug and more like emotional handcuffs. Every night it was, "Just a little longer, okay? The client really needs this." As if the client's mild inconvenience somehow outweighed everyone's actual lives. And those lives were not empty. The protagonist in this story had kids who still wanted bedtime stories, a partner working nights, and a body that was throwing up little warning flags in the form of headaches and that buzzing, anxious feeling in the chest. There were doctor's appointments squeezed into lunch breaks, school events missed because a quick meeting ran 2 hours over, and a commute home so late the city felt like a deserted Minecraft village at midnight. Sleep became this rare resource, like you're mining in the dark with a wooden pickaxe. Patricia 2.0 loved promises almost as much as she loved guilt trips. There was the raise after your 3-month review that turned into, budget is tight, but next quarter for sure. The promotion that was basically yours until it suddenly wasn't, because they decided to restructure the role. Even time off got the same treatment. Approved vacation days would mysteriously become "we'll see," and then "we really need all hands on deck." Each broken promise was a tiny crack in the trust, and over time the whole thing started to feel like a glitchy redstone circuit that only powered one direction, up to management. The final straw was almost boring in how ordinary it looked. Vacation had been requested months in advance, approved in writing, flights booked, grandparents excited to help with the kids. The day before leaving, Patricia 2.0 pulled our protagonist into her office and calmly said, "Given everything going on, it would be really disappointing if you chose now to prioritize personal plans over the team." When they gently pointed to the approved request, she frowned and added, "Also, I've noticed you've been leaving exactly on time lately. That's not the kind of dedication we expect from our core people." In that moment, something just clicked, like placing the final block on a quiet little Minecraft cottage and realizing you don't have to live in a cramped cave anymore. All the late nights, all the we're a family speeches, all the broken promises lined up in a neat mental row. And as we drift into the next part of this story, where that quiet realization starts turning into action, you might start to feel that warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served, beginning to glow at the edges. Welcome back to the channel, by the way. Let's dive into how those emails, those policies, and that one very important vacation request slowly turned this cozy-sounding family into the perfect setup for some very calm, very legal revenge that might just help you drift off to sleep tonight. 55:16. Story 2 Turning Point. Discovering the power of policy. So there they are, sitting in that too bright break room, still hearing Patricia's fake "we're all a family" speech echoing in their head, and something just clicks. The anger doesn't disappear, but it cools. It gets quiet. Instead of planning a dramatic confrontation, they go home that night, open their laptop, and decide to do something way less flashy and way more dangerous to a boss like her. They start reading. While you're watching me slowly stack spruce planks into this cozy little Minecraft cabin, imagine them scrolling through the company portal like it's a secret spellbook. Employee handbook, contract, policy PDFs with boring names. They'd skimmed them before, half asleep, just enough to sign. But this time, they read every line. No music, no party, just the soft vibrations of the old fridge in their tiny apartment and the hum of the computer fan as they highlight paragraph after paragraph. And right there, in plain, simple language, they find it. Overtime must be paid at time and a half after 40 hours. Mandatory breaks for shifts over 6 hours. Maximum consecutive days without a rest day. No retaliation for using vacation time once it's approved. It's not hidden behind technical jargon or fancy legal talk. It's literally written in black and white, like the rules of Minecraft. Place block, gravity works, lava hurts. They lean back and realize something important. Patricia isn't just being mean. She's breaking the rules of the game she keeps bragging about controlling. So, they change their strategy. No more emotional late-night rants that go nowhere. From now on, it's numbers, dates, and receipts. They start small. A quiet little spreadsheet on their personal drive. Clock in and clock out times, copied from the system. Which days they were asked to stay late. How long lunch actually was, versus what Patricia wrote on the schedule. They save every email where she reminds them that salaried means no overtime limits, even though the contract clearly calls them hourly. Every text that says, "Need you to come in on your day off, non-negotiable," gets screenshotted and tucked away like a rare item in a hidden Minecraft chest. And they're not alone. One coworker, the one who always looks exhausted but still brings cupcakes to the office, quietly mentions that she hasn't had a real weekend in a month. Another jokes a little too bitterly that they're basically paying to work there once you factor in unpaid overtime. Our protagonist doesn't start a rebellion out loud, they just listen. They nod, they ask, "Hey, do you still have that email?" Pretty soon other people are forwarding things. Old schedules, messages denying breaks, screenshots of Patricia bragging in the team chat about squeezing extra value out of the staff. The boss is still blissfully unaware, still walking around with that fake friendly smile, while a quiet little archive of her own words grows in the background. Welcome back to the channel, by the way. If you've been here a while, you know this is where the warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served starts to glow a little brighter. Our protagonist realizes they don't need to yell, slam doors, or make a scene. They just need to wait. The policies are clear, the evidence is organized, and somewhere above Patricia, there's someone whose job is to care. In the next part of the story, we'll drift into how they find exactly the right person, at exactly the right moment, to present all of this very calm, very cozy revenge, and really help you drift off to sleep. 5911. Story 2 Preparation. Building the quiet case file. So now that the trap is built, at least on paper, we slow everything way down. This is the part that always gives me that warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served, because it's not loud or dramatic. It's just organized. Quietly, relentlessly organized. In my cozy little Minecraft world, I'm clearing a flat area, one block at a time, while our protagonist clears a space on their kitchen table. They start with a fresh folder on their laptop. Time theft, documentation. Inside that, they make neat subfolders by month. Every schedule screenshot, every email, every denied break requests gets its own little home, all labeled and time-stamped. You can almost hear the soft click of the mouse as they drag files into place, like placing blocks in a calm, empty field. They print a few of the worst emails, the ones where Patricia flat out orders them to work off the clock. The printer hums softly in the background, like distant Minecraft music on a peaceful night. Pages slide out, warm and slightly curled, and they stack them carefully, tapping the edges on the table until the pile is perfectly square. That tiny shuffle of paper is its own kind of ASMR. They take a yellow highlighter and slowly pull it across key phrases. Must clock out, finish it before you leave. We don't pay overtime. The neon lines glow like little warning lanterns along a village path. On their computer, they open a spreadsheet. Rows for dates, start times, end times, unpaid minutes, denied breaks. Columns for which policy was broken. As they type, there's that gentle rhythm of keys, steady and unhurried. They cross-check everything against the official handbook they saved months ago, back when this first started to feel wrong. No technical jargon without explanation, just clear rules, breaks required, overtime must be paid, no off-the-clock work. Every time they match an incident to a rule, it's like placing another stone brick in a fortress wall. Pattern interrupt. Instead of imagining a shouting match in the break room, picture this. Late evening in a small apartment, lights dim, maybe some lo-fi music playing from their phone. They're not plotting some wild party-style revenge. They're scrolling through the company's internal site, calmly reading about reporting concerns and escalation paths, HR contacts, a regional manager's email, an anonymous ethics hotline. They even look up the government labor board website, just in case, letting those official words settle over them like a heavy, protective blanket. I know, revenge stories for bedtime sounds counterintuitive, but this is the kind that can actually help you drift off to sleep. It's methodical. Predictable. Like walking slowly through a Minecraft forest, listening to the soft vibrations of footsteps on grass. They bookmark the pages they need. They draft a polite, factual email in a separate document, saving it as, not yet. No accusations, no name-calling, just dates, times, and attached proof. Then, with a tiny, decisive click, they open their calendar. They scroll 2 weeks ahead and choose a quiet Tuesday morning. No big meetings, no deadlines. Nothing that will draw attention. On that square, they type, send HR email. That's it. No skulls, no exclamation marks, just a calm little appointment with accountability. The next day at work, they act completely normal. They chat about weekend plans, they joke lightly in the break room, they answer Patricia with their usual polite sure thing. Meanwhile, in the background, that quiet date on the calendar sits there waiting. And as we move into the next part of the story, we'll see how that one small reminder turns into a very cozy, very official reckoning. 6314. Story 2 Execution. One email that changes everything, that quiet date on the calendar just sits there, glowing softly like a little redstone torch in the corner of their mind. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, but it's there. And as I wander past this cozy Minecraft village and listen to the gentle block sounds, you can almost feel that same low, steady hum of anticipation building. So, welcome back to the channel, and let's dive into the moment everything finally clicks into place. Our protagonist wakes up early on a Monday. No alarms blaring, no frantic rush, Just that calm, slightly nervous energy you get before a big presentation. They make coffee, open their laptop at the small kitchen table in their apartment, and pull up the draft they've been polishing for weeks. The email is addressed to HR, CC'd to upper management, with the subject line, formal complaint, overtime, time clock, manipulation, and policy violations. Cozy, right? Office revenge with a side of corporate policy. They attach the neatly organized folder, screenshots of time clock edits, copies of schedules, emails where Patricia ordered them to work off the clock, and a PDF with the exact sections of company policy and labor law she's been trampling on. No yelling, no name-calling, just dates, times, and quotes. One last deep breath, a quick glance at the clock, and then they hit send. The funny thing is, nothing explodes. There's no instant reply, no dramatic music. They drive to work, badge in, and the day feels almost boring. They answer emails, help a coworker with a tricky task, listen to the low office vibrations of printers and keyboards, and yet they feel lighter, like they finally set down a heavy box they'd been carrying for way too long. If you're listening in bed right now, this is that moment where your shoulders drop a little and you sink deeper into the mattress. By midweek, the calm starts to crack. HR suddenly sends out a mandatory meeting invite to the whole department. A second email asks for clarification on overtime expectations. Then they request time clock records for the last 6 months for everyone on Patricia's team. Our protagonist just sips their coffee and keeps working. While in the background, the company starts quietly digging. Coworkers begin to whisper in the break room. People compare notes. Did your time get edited? Why are they pulling all our schedules? Meanwhile, Patricia is no longer holding court at her desk. She's vanishing into closed-door meetings with HR, coming out a little paler each time, that fake cheerful voice getting tighter around the edges. Weeks later, the email goes out. The company is issuing back overtime pay to the entire team, adjusting schedules to comply with policy, and restructuring management. Patricia isn't fired outright, but she's demoted, formally reprimanded, and moved to a role with no direct reports. It's that warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served wrapped in corporate stationery. But here's the thing. HR still hasn't said who started it. And as we move into the next part of the story, the real twist is how Patricia decides to react when she realizes someone on her team quietly outplayed her. 66-43. Story 2, Resolution. Restored boundaries and quiet evenings. So now Patricia knows someone pushed back, but she still doesn't know it was me. And this is where the revenge stops feeling sharp and starts feeling really, really quiet and cozy, like the Minecraft music humming in the background while you watch me place blocks. It's not about fireworks. It's about finally getting your evenings back. A week after her demotion, payroll sends out adjustments. I open my email at my desk, already half expecting some small correction, and just stare. The number on that back pay deposit is bigger than anything I've ever seen on a single check. Every one of those late nights, every weekend just hopping on for a bit. Every time the office lights were off except for my little island of blue glow in the corner of the apartment-sized open office. It's all laid out in neat itemized lines. Overtime, missed meal breaks, retroactive differential. It's like a financial time-lapse of my exhaustion finally being acknowledged. There's this strange stillness that hits. For the first time, I'm not wondering if I overreacted or if I should have just sucked it up. The company literally put a $sign on my lost sleep. That warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served isn't loud. It's a quiet exhale. I know. Revenge stories for bedtime sounds counterintuitive, but when the universe sends you a surprise check for all the hours you thought disappeared into the void, it suddenly feels very sleep-friendly. And the culture? It shifts almost overnight. Meeting invites now stop 10 minutes before the end of the day, like someone discovered clocks for the first time. Calendars get these bright red, no meetings after 4:30 blocks. Managers start every big ask with, "This must stay within scheduled hours," and you can practically feel the vibrations in the room as people realize they're allowed to say no. Folks who used to drag laptops home every night quietly shut their lids at 5. One coworker jokes that our office turned into a pumpkin at 5:01, and honestly, I'm fine living in that fairy tale. Patricia doesn't get paraded out or humiliated. She's just gone from our floor, transferred to an internal role with no direct reports, mandatory management training on her calendar, and a very polite corrective action note in her file. It's accountability, not a public hanging. No dramatic party, no angry confrontation in the hallway. Just the rules doing what they were supposed to do all along. For me, the biggest change is the evenings. I walk out at 5, the sky still light, and there's this delicious, almost unreal feeling of having time. I go home, cook dinner without a laptop on the counter, and actually taste my food instead of inhaling it between emails. Some nights I just sit on the couch, lights low, Minecraft on the TV, and let the soft block sounds help me drift off to sleep. No guilt, no Slack pings, just quiet. It's the gentlest kind of revenge. No shouting, no scenes, just policy and patience, turning the volume down on someone who tried to control my entire life. And as Patricia starts sniffing around to figure out who did this to her, that's when the next twist starts to unfold. 70-20. Story 2 reflection. The soft strength of knowing your rights, and that's really where I want to pause with you for a second, before we chase that next twist. Because underneath all the petty emails and policy quotes, there's something really gentle happening here. It's not just revenge. It's that warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served without anyone raising their voice. Patricia's whole strategy was emotional noise, guilt, pressure, fake urgency, those late-night "we're a family" messages that feel like someone knocking on your apartment door at 2 a.m. for a surprise party you never agreed to. Her power lived in drama and vibrations, in keeping everyone just unsettled enough that they'd say yes instead of thinking. Our protagonist did the opposite. They got quiet. They read the handbook. They checked the law. They answered with calm, factual emails instead of matching Patricia's mood. And that contrast is so soothing. It shows how knowledge can be a soft kind of power, like low music in the background that makes the whole room feel more comfortable. There's also a really poetic justice in the way it all unfolded. The company loved those policies when they could wave them around at employees, but the second it was inconvenient, they tried to pretend the rules were just guidelines. Then suddenly, when HR and upper management are copied, those same rules become sacred again. It's like watching someone trip over the very sign they hung up themselves. I know, knowing your rights can sound intense, but here it's almost like a sleep aid. Predictable systems, written policies, clear expectations. When you understand them, it takes the mystery out of someone's threats. You can look at a guilt-trippy message and think, actually I'm allowed to rest, and then turn your phone face down for the night. And that's the gentle reminder I want to leave you with from this story. You're allowed to have boundaries. You're allowed to close the laptop, mute the chat, and let yourself drift toward sleep without replaying every demand in your head. Even if someone tries to make you feel selfish for resting, that doesn't make them right. Pattern interrupt here. What if, instead of arguing with them in your mind, you imagine you're just placing a Minecraft bookshelf? Seriously, welcome back to the channel. Moments like this are why I love pairing these stories with cozy gameplay, while we talk about quiet confidence and calm self-advocacy. I'm just over here in this little spruce cabin, lining the walls with bookshelves. One soft block sound at a time. Maybe I'll light a tiny fireplace, let the orange pixels flicker, and let the crackling help you drift off to sleep. So grab your favorite blanket, listen to the steady block sounds, and remember, you don't need to shout to stand up for yourself. Sometimes, the most powerful kind of revenge is simply knowing the rules, honoring your own limits, and letting the rest of the night stay peaceful. 73-34. Ambient pause. Minecraft as your sleepy background world. And speaking of peaceful, let's come back to the Minecraft world for a moment and just let it hold you. Right now, if you listen closely, you might hear the soft splash of water somewhere nearby, that gentle looping sound that feels a bit like distant night music in pixel form. Maybe there's a cow in the distance, giving a lazy little moo, or a sheep shuffling through the grass like it's looking for the coziest spot to lie down. The campfire we lit earlier is still crackling away, each tiny pop like a friendly little tap on the shoulder, reminding you that this is your safe, sleepy apartment in-game. No drama, no party upstairs, just calm, blocky vibrations in your headphones. This is that quiet part of the night where the world gets small and simple again. Just footsteps, water, and the occasional soft animal noise drifting through the dark. I know. Revenge stories and Minecraft don't sound like the usual bedtime combo, but welcome back to the channel where we make that weird little mix actually work. While I walk us along this lantern-lit path, you can imagine yourself here with me. The lanterns swing gently, casting warm circles of light on the path. And the sky is this deep, cozy navy with scattered stars that never feel too bright. Picture yourself moving slowly, one block at a time. Like each step is an inhale. You breathe in, and in your mind you see your character's foot land on the path. You breathe out, and with that exhale, you leave behind one tiny piece of the day. Step. Inhale, light, exhale, release. There's nowhere you have to be, nothing you have to fix. Just this quiet walk under Minecraft lanterns. If you want, take another slow breath with me. In on the next step forward, like you're walking past a little garden with wheat swaying gently. Out as you pass a calm pond, the water perfectly still except for those soft ripples from a single block falling in. Your body can stay completely comfortable while your mind wanders through this sleepy little world I'm building for you. As we keep strolling, remember that the stories tonight are going to follow that same gentle rhythm. Problem, plan, payoff. Your brain loves patterns, especially at night. When it knows that every bit of chaos in a story is heading toward a tidy, satisfying ending, it can finally stop bracing for impact and just enjoy that warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served. So let's dive into the next one in a second. It's low stakes, light-hearted revenge, the kind that makes you smile more than gasp. Imagine a petty roommate who cannot stop taste testing everyone else's food, convinced they're too clever to get caught. No shouting, no big fight, just a calm, clever setup that quietly teaches them that the fridge is not an all-you-can-eat buffet. We'll walk this path a few more steps, listen to the water in the campfire, and then I'll tell you exactly how their late-night snacking career finally comes to an end. 7700, Story 3, Intro. The roommate who raided the fridge at 2 a.m. We'll take those last few steps together here, just listening to the gentle Minecraft footsteps and the soft splash of water. And then let's dive into this fridge-raiding roommate story that's a lot more cozy than chaotic. Think of it as revenge on easy mode, designed to help you drift off to sleep, not keep you up replaying drama in your head. So picture this with me. It's a small, slightly messy apartment. The kind where the walls are thin but the couch is comfortable, and the kitchen light always feels a little too bright at night. I share it with a roommate who is, in most ways, perfectly fine. Pays rent on time, doesn't blast music at 3 in the morning, even washes their dishes eventually. But somewhere around 2 a.m. they transform into a fridge goblin. I'd come home after a long day, the kind of day where your brain feels like it's made of gravel, and I'd comfort myself with one simple thought. There's a specific snack waiting in the fridge. Maybe it's leftover pasta, maybe it's that one slice of pizza from the party, or a little dessert I picked up on the way home. Just knowing it's there makes the whole night feel softer. And then I'd open the fridge. Empty container. Crumbs? A note? Of course not. Just the faint vibrations of betrayal radiating from the shelves. My roommate would always swear, with big innocent eyes, that they had no idea what happened. The fridge, apparently, was haunted. Now, I want to be really clear, because this channel is all about that warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served without turning things mean or scary. There's no dangerous prank here, no messing with food safety, nothing that could hurt anyone, and definitely nothing that's going to spike your anxiety before bed. This is gentle, almost silly revenge, more annoying sibling energy than arch-nemesis showdown. I know, revenge stories for bedtime sound counterintuitive, but there's something oddly comforting about hearing how a small, ongoing annoyance gets handled with patience and creativity instead of shouting. While I'm slowly placing blocks and maybe planting a few cozy lanterns along this Minecraft path, I'm also planning out my own little justice build in that very real-world kitchen. I start paying closer attention. Which snacks vanish fastest? What time the fridge door tends to open? The way the floorboards creak just a little differently at night. I'm not gearing up for war. I'm just gathering tiny clues, the same way you might quietly collect resources before you start a big project in-game. The mood between us stays friendly on the surface. Jokes on the couch, shared shows, casual talk about work and sleep schedules. Inside, though, I'm mildly exasperated, the way you'd feel about a sibling who keeps taste testing your dessert and then acting shocked when you call them out. I still like them. I just want my leftovers to survive the night. So I decide it's time for a harmless little experiment. Something simple. Maybe a few very specific labels. Maybe a not-so-hidden camera angle. Or maybe one small, surprising twist that means the next time they sneak into the kitchen at 2 a.m., they don't just find my food, they finally get caught in the act in a way they absolutely do not see coming. 43. Story 3 setup. Vanishing leftovers and denied responsibility. So while that little experiment idea is simmering in the back of my mind, The day-to-day pattern in this apartment just keeps getting more ridiculous. And this is where it turns from mildly annoying to that slow burn kind of injustice that keeps you awake at night, staring at the ceiling, listening to the soft Minecraft music and wondering if you're actually losing your mind. Picture this. I carefully save half a takeout meal, already imagining it as my cozy comfort dinner after a long shift. I tuck it into the fridge, centered on the shelf like a tiny treasure. The next night I open the door, and it's gone. Not moved, not pushed behind the milk, just vanished. Like the food equivalent of a magic trick, minus the applause. Other times it's snacks. I'll buy a fresh bag of chips, eat one serving and put it back. Later I reach in and the bag is there, but it's suspiciously light. Inside, crumbs in exactly 3 sad little pieces. The bag is rolled up neatly, as if to say, nothing to see here, totally normal, definitely not a snack crime scene. And it's always when I need that pick-me-up the most. Bad day at work? Stressful night ahead? Maybe I'm settling in to help you drift off to sleep with some calm Minecraft building, and I'm thinking, at least I've got that chocolate bar waiting. I open the drawer, empty wrapper, placed back like a tiny cardboard tombstone. When I ask my roommate, they go full exaggerated innocence. Big eyes, hand on chest, the whole performance. Wow, that's so weird. Must be ghosts. Maybe the apartment is haunted by a very specific, very hungry spirit. They even joke about leaving out offerings, like we're doing some kind of snack seance instead of just respecting labels. So I try to be reasonable. We have an actual conversation. We agree, what's mine is mine, what's theirs is theirs. We can always ask if we want to share. I start labeling containers. Neat little notes with my name and the date. I even suggest separate shelves in the fridge so it's visually obvious. Clear, simple, adult boundaries. And for about 2 days, it almost works. Then the workarounds start. My labeled leftovers are accidentally moved to their shelf. A container marked with my name shows up in the sink, rinsed out, like the evidence has already been washed away. They laugh it off. Oh, I thought that was old, or I was sure you said I could have it. It's not confusion. It's a game. Each ignored label, each mysteriously empty box, just adds to this low, constant vibration of frustration. You know that feeling when you're trying to stay comfortable and calm, but there's this one tiny thing poking at you over and over? The final straw comes on the night before a brutal exam and an early shift. I treat myself to my favorite meal, the really good stuff, and I tell myself I'll reheat it as a reward after surviving the day. I even think, as I slide it into the fridge, this one at least will be safe. You already know what happens. I come home exhausted, Minecraft loading screen humming softly in the background. Open the fridge, and the spot where that special meal should be is just an empty, glowing rectangle. Nothing left but a sticky ring on the shelf. That's the moment the cozy, patient part of my brain quietly steps aside. The experiment stops being a maybe. It becomes the plan. 8439. Story 3. Turning point, a tiny camera and a big idea. So there I am, in my quiet apartment, Minecraft music humming in the background like soft vibrations through the walls, staring at that empty fridge space and feeling this very calm little click in my brain. Not rage, not yelling, just all right then. If this is going to keep happening, we're going to document it. I head to my room, sit down at my desk and open my laptop. The screen glow feels extra bright against the cozy dark of the night. You know that slightly wired, too tired to sleep feeling? That's where I'm at. Instead of trying to force sleep, I start browsing. Tiny security gadgets, motion-activated doodads, those little cube cameras that people use to check on their pets while they're at work. Nothing wild, nothing that would turn my place into a spy movie, just simple tools. I scroll past the ones that feel too intense. Full room coverage, audio recording, cloud subscriptions? No thanks. I don't want a surveillance system. I want a fridge witness. Eventually I find it. A small, inexpensive camera, motion-activated, no weird setup, no complicated app. It looks like a black sugar cube with a lens. The reviews are full of people catching raccoons in their garages and kids sneaking cookies at midnight. That's the level I'm aiming for. Cookie energy, not crime documentary. I order it, and a couple of days later, it shows up in a boring little box. While a calm Minecraft world loads on my monitor, I unbox it slowly, almost ceremonially. Remember, welcome back to the channel if you're listening along while you build something cozy. This is that part of the story where the revenge plan stops being a vague idea and turns into an actual object you can hold. I decide on one rule for myself. I'm not filming people living their lives. I'm filming a door. Just the fridge door. That's it. I place the camera on top of a cabinet across the kitchen, angled down so it sees only the fridge and a sliver of floor. No couch, no hallway, no bedroom doors. Just that glowing rectangle of cold temptation. I test it during the day. Open the fridge. Close it. Walk away. Check the footage. It's almost boring in how simple it is, which honestly helps you drift off to sleep just thinking about it. A door opens, a door closes. Silence. Perfect. No sound spikes, no jump scares, just a tiny mechanical eye doing its calm little job. The trick is keeping my roommate from noticing. I tuck the charging cable behind a plant, dust the top of the cabinet so there's no obvious fingerprint trail, and angle the camera so it blends into the shadows. If you didn't know to look for it, you'd never see it. It's just another dark shape in a cozy, slightly cluttered kitchen. Then I set the bait. If you've ever had a roommate who treats shared food like an all-you-can-eat party, you already know the move. I make something especially tempting. A big clear container of homemade pasta bake, layered with cheese, labeled with my name in bold letters and the word "do not eat" underneath. I even add a little smiley face to keep it friendly. Because the warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served hits better when you know you were still polite. I place it right in the center of the middle shelf, front and center like a main character. Close the fridge. Listen to the soft seal of the door, like a punctuation mark at the end of a sentence. That night I turn my Minecraft volume down low. Grab your favorite blanket if you're following along, and climb into bed feeling almost amused. I'm not angry anymore. I'm curious. If the food disappears again, I won't have to wonder. I'll finally have proof, waiting quietly on a memory card, ready for the next part of the story. And as I let myself drift towards sleep, the apartment feels different. Not louder, not quieter. Just balanced. Like the game has officially changed. 8909. Story 3. Execution. Caught in 1080p, but very kindly. The next morning, the apartment feels almost too calm. You know that quiet, settled feeling after a long night, when the Minecraft music has faded in your ears and you're just floating between sleep and waking? That's where I am as I pad into the kitchen, still a little drowsy, still letting the vibrations of last night's planning hum in the background of my mind. The bait container is gone. Not moved, not nudged, just gone from its very obvious, very labeled spot. My roommate is at the counter, acting perfectly casual, scrolling on their phone, sipping coffee like this is just another comfortable morning and not the aftermath of a tiny domestic heist. They toss out a cheerful morning, and I answer back the same way, matching their tone, like we're just two NPCs in a cozy village. Inside, though, I'm already thinking about the camera. While they talk about their day, I wander over to my room, close the door softly, and pull up the footage. This is where the quiet, patient revenge turns into a little bedtime movie. I know, it sounds dramatic, but seeing it play out is oddly soothing. On screen, the apartment is dim, like the soft twilight in a Minecraft cave before you place a torch. The timestamp rolls past midnight. Then, there they are. My roommate sneaks into the kitchen in mismatched socks, pausing at the doorway like they're expecting a jump scare from the fridge. They look around, exaggeratedly, like a cartoon burglar checking for witnesses, even though the only audience is a tiny lens and, well, you and me right now. They spot the container. You can almost see the thought process. There's a visible label with my name, like a big glowing sign in a village square, and they hesitate just long enough to prove they know exactly what they're doing. Then, with all the stealth of a creeper in bright daylight, they grab it, open it, and start eating right there, leaning against the counter. I actually laugh, quietly, watching them take big, satisfied bites, glancing around between mouthfuls as if ghosts might object. It's not malicious, it's just shameless. When the video ends, I pause on the frame where they're mid-bite, eyes wide, like they've heard something. Now I just need the right moment. I don't want drama. I want that warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served without anyone losing sleep over it. So I wait. I let the day drift by. We each do our thing, like I'm wandering slowly through a peaceful Minecraft biome, placing blocks, breathing easy. If you're listening in bed, you can let your own breathing match that pace, slow, steady, comfortable. That evening, we end up eating together, sharing a simple meal at the table. No party, no noise, Just soft conversation and the low hum of the fridge, like background music set to calm. I let us finish most of the food, let the mood stay light. Then I pull out my phone, open the video, and slide it across the table. I checked the camera. I say, smiling so they know this isn't a fight. Do you still want to blame ghosts, or should I introduce you to the real culprit? They watch themselves on screen. First comes confusion, then recognition, then this full-body cringe that makes them sink down in their chair. Their ears go pink. They put a hand over their face and start laughing. The kind of embarrassed, helpless laugh you get when you're absolutely, undeniably caught in 1080. Please, I'm so sorry, they finally manage. They promise to replace everything, to actually respect labels from now on, to stop treating the fridge like a loot chest. They even offered to do the next grocery run. It feels less like a battle and more like a tiny, cozy reset button on our apartment life. And just when I think the story is wrapped up in a neat, sleepy bow, they say one more thing that changes everything. 9336. Story 3 Resolution. Shared groceries and restored trust, they go. Also, if you ever want me to pick up anything specific, just add it to a shared list. I really don't want you to feel like you have to guard your yogurt from me. And that's kind of the turning point. Up until then, it felt like I was babysitting a full-sized child with a debit card. After that, the whole vibe in the apartment shifts in this really gentle, cozy way. It's not instant perfection, but it's like when the Minecraft rain finally stops and you realize the music's back and everything feels a little lighter. Over the next week, they actually follow through. Every time they open the fridge, I hear this soft little, "Hey, is this okay if I use some of this?" from the kitchen. Sometimes it's about a splash of milk, sometimes it's half an onion. Tiny things. But that simple act of asking feels huge, because it means I'm not waking up wondering which invisible fridge goblin struck in the night. We set up a shared grocery list on the fridge door, just a cheap whiteboard instead of some complicated app. I know, no technical jargon without explanation tonight. There's a column for shared, a column for mine, a column for theirs. If either of us is going to the store, we snap a picture and grab whatever fits the budget. It turns revenge into cooperation, which is kind of the most bedtime-friendly plot twist you can ask for. They even create a little help-yourself shelf in the pantry. Chips, crackers, random snacks they grab on sale. They slap a sticky note on it that literally says loot chest, take anything. That one makes me laugh because this time it's labeled like a party and not like a problem. Suddenly the only mystery in the kitchen is whether there will be cookies tonight. And honestly, the relief is so simple. I open the fridge and everything is where it should be. My leftovers are untouched, my labeled containers are still sealed, and the only surprise is maybe an extra soda they picked up for both of us. It's such a small comfort, but on a quiet night, with soft Minecraft block sounds in the background, it feels like the warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served. It never turns into some dramatic scorched earth revenge. It's more like a gentle nudge that says, hey, there's a line here, and once they see it, they actually step back. Sometimes people don't need to be destroyed. They just need that one slightly embarrassing moment to realize they're not the main character of the apartment. So now, instead of guarding my food, I get to just exist. I can grab your favorite blanket in my head, settle into my cozy corner, listen to the soft Minecraft music, and block vibrations, and know that my yogurt is safe. That's the kind of low-stakes justice that helps you drift off to sleep. And speaking of low-stakes justice, let's dive into a different kind of shared space next, where the oops, my bad apology comes way too late, and the receipts are a lot more than grocery lists. 9707, Deepening Calm. Let the stories blur into Minecraft nights, where the oops, my bad apology comes way too late, and the receipts are a lot more than grocery lists. By the way, if you're still here with me and not fully knocked out yet, welcome back to the channel in this softer middle stretch. This is the part of the night where the stories and the Minecraft kind of melt together, and you don't really have to keep track of who did what or which petty revenge happened in which apartment. You can just let everything blur a little around the edges. If you've already drifted halfway off, that's perfect. You don't need to remember every detail of these stories for them to help you drift off to sleep. It's totally okay if you miss the setup and only wake up for the warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served at the end. Or even if you wake up 3 stories later wondering how we got from yogurt to landlords to group projects. Your brain can clock out. My job is to keep the lights low and the narration steady. So instead of trying to follow every twist, just notice the rhythm. The way my voice stays at this same calm level, rising a little when the revenge plan comes together. and then settling back down as the dust clears. Underneath that, you've got the soft Minecraft music, those gentle block vibrations, footsteps on grass, the little whoosh of opening a chest. All of that becomes one long, cozy soundscape, like a very polite party happening 3 rooms away where no one expects you to join. On screen right now, it's full night in our little world. The sky is deep blue, scattered with square stars and that slow-moving moon. I'm placing the last few blocks on this tiny hillside cabin. Spruce stairs for the roof, a couple of lanterns by the door, and a line of trapdoors to make a flower box under the window. Inside, there's a simple bed, a crafting table, a furnace quietly glowing like a small square fireplace. If you want, you can imagine that you're already in there. You've kicked off your shoes, you're lying in that Minecraft bed, and the world outside is just peaceful background. Through the walls, you hear the soft thump of distant footsteps. Maybe a cow a few chunks away, the faint hum of the night music. You're comfortable, safe, and the only quest tonight is sleep. So grab your favorite blanket in the real world and let this little digital cabin be your stand-in bedroom. You don't have to watch. You can just listen, or even let the sounds fade into the kind of white noise that makes your eyelids heavy. In a moment, let's dive into our next story, and this one's heading back to school. Think group project, one of those we'll all share the grade deals where one person mysteriously disappears until presentation day. But this time, the quiet kid with the receipts isn't playing along. 126. Story 4, Intro. The group project where one person did everything, so, with that last story tucked away like a finished build in a cozy corner of our Minecraft world, let's dive into this next one. It's calm, it's familiar, and if you've ever stared at a group project rubric at 2 in the morning, you're probably already feeling the vibrations of recognition. Welcome back to the channel. And if you haven't already, grab your favorite blanket, let the soft block sounds and low music roll in the background, and just let this one wash over you. We're heading into the kind of academic revenge that doesn't involve shouting or drama, just quiet preparation, and that warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served. This story starts in a pretty standard college classroom. Think fluorescent lights, a tired professor, and that end-of-semester buzz where everyone's half checked out and dreaming of sleep. Our professor announces a huge group project, research, written report, and a polished presentation. 1 grade shared by everyone. On paper, it sounds fair. In reality, you and I both know how this usually goes. I slip into first person here because this one feels like it could have been any of us. I remember sitting there looking around the room as he read off the assignment sheet, actually feeling a little optimistic. Working in a team meant we could divide the work, right? Fewer late nights, more comfortable pacing, maybe even time to just wander around a peaceful Minecraft biome instead of stress refreshing my email. I'm the responsible, organized type in class. I color code my notes, I read the rubric. I'm the person who actually checks the due dates, instead of assuming someone else will remind me. So when I get placed into a group of 4, I'm already drafting a plan in my head. Shared document, clear deadlines, maybe a quick meeting after class. Simple, structured, nothing wild. But from the very first messages, the cracks show. One guy replies with, "Yeah, just tell me what to do," and then vanishes. Another person keeps saying they're super busy with work, promising to catch up later. The last member is friendly, but every time we set a time to meet, there's some new emergency. It's not explosive, it's not dramatic. It's just that slow, familiar slide where you realize you're the only one actually moving. The feeling isn't fiery anger. It's more like resigned frustration. That quiet weight in your chest as you open the shared document and see nothing. Night after night, I'm typing away, building the whole thing from scratch while my group chat stays silent. You might know that mix of annoyance and determination. You're too stubborn to let your own grade sink, even if it means carrying 3 extra people on your back. Here's the part my group completely underestimates. This professor, he has a policy, a system he mentions once, briefly, while everyone's half listening and packing their bags. A little mechanism that decides who actually earns the grade they get. My lazy teammates don't take it seriously at all. But on grading day, that quiet little system is waiting for them, and they have no idea what's about to hit. In the next part, I'll tell you exactly how it works. 103:59. Story 4 Setup. Missed meetings and empty Google Docs. So now that you know there's this quiet little grading system lurking in the background, let's dive into what it felt like before I knew it was there. And as I tell you this part, just let the soft Minecraft footsteps and block sounds in the background help you drift off to sleep. like we're walking through a calm forest biome together while I vent about group projects. Our professor says, "You all should meet at least once a week," and I actually take that seriously. I open the group chat, type out a friendly message, and suggest a time. Immediately, the excuses start rolling in. One person has a family thing, another has work. Someone else just says, "That night doesn't vibe with me." No alternative times, just no. We finally land on a Sunday afternoon meeting. I plan around it, skip a small party at my friend's apartment, even turn down a movie night. 10 minutes before the call, a little ping pops up. "Hey, something came up, can we reschedule?" Then another. "I'm not feeling great, sorry." The meeting evaporates like it never existed. The only response to my "when works for you" instead is a vague thumbs up reaction. No words. Just that tiny, unhelpful icon floating in the chat. Meanwhile, our shared Google Doc looks like an abandoned village. I've got my sections outlined, citations started, headings formatted so it looks at least a little professional. Their sections? Blank. Maybe a lonely bullet point that says intro. I'll fill this in later. Days pass. Nothing. Every time I nudge them, I get some version of, "Yeah, for sure, I'll add my part tonight." Tonight never comes. But I do notice them posting on social media. One is at a concert with loud music and neon lights. Another is sharing selfies from a late-night fast food run. Someone else is asking for Netflix recommendations. Busy, apparently. Too busy to type a paragraph, but not too busy to post a dozen stories. I keep checking the doc like it might magically fill itself in. It doesn't. So, on a quiet night, I make a decision. I'm not risking my grade on people who communicate entirely in thumbs ups and broken promises. I put on some cozy background music, imagine the gentle Minecraft vibrations of placing blocks one by one, and I start building the whole project myself. Hours go by. My eyes burn a little, but the document slowly transforms from empty space into something real. Introduction, methodology, analysis, conclusion. Charts I never volunteered to make. Citations for articles I'm pretty sure my teammates have never even opened. The campus outside is dark and still, and most sane people are asleep, but I'm here, quietly doing the work of 4 people. Somewhere around midnight, while I'm double-checking a reference, I remember something the professor said on the very first day. It was quick, almost a throwaway line while everyone was packing up. "By the way, group projects are graded individually, based on contribution." At the time, it sounded like empty reassurance. Now, with the whole project basically built by my tired hands, it hits completely differently. Suddenly, my extra effort doesn't feel quite as unfair. If anything, it feels like I've been quietly stacking diamonds in a hidden chest while everyone else is still punching trees. And in the next part, I'll tell you exactly how that little grading system turns this long, lonely night into the warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served. So for now, just grab your favorite blanket, get comfortable, and let your brain relax, because this is where the revenge starts to take shape. 108-01. Story 4. Turning Point. Quietly documenting who did what, so while they were out metaphorically punching trees, I was in full cozy documentation mode. This is where the story gets very calm on the surface, but you and I both know the vibrations under the floorboards are starting to build. I know. Revenge stories for bedtime sounds counterintuitive, but this is the quiet kind. The kind that helps you drift off to sleep because everything is handled by the rules. Our professor had this very clear rule that he repeated at the start of the semester. At the end of every group project, each student had to submit a private breakdown of who contributed what, no exceptions. If the breakdowns didn't match, or if anyone refused to fill it out, he'd switch to individual oral presentations and grill people one by one. Everyone groaned when he said that the first week, but I remember thinking, that's actually pretty fair. So as the nights got later and the group chats got quieter, I just leaned into that system. While I was working, I kept our chat window open like a little logbook. Every time I sent a draft, a spreadsheet, a slide, I watched those timestamps stack up. Uploaded revised introduction at 11:42 p.m. Ran metadata analysis, results posted at 1:07 a.m. In the shared document, I turned on the version history and left it alone, the same way you let Minecraft autosave your world. I didn't change any names. I didn't move anything around. I just let the edits speak for themselves. You can't really argue with a timeline that shows one person working for hours and another person logging in once to fix a comma. I also kept the emails. Little things like, "Hey, Just checking if you can take the discussion section like we agreed, followed by their classic, yeah, I got it, no worries. And then, nothing. It was all very boring, very ordinary, and that's what made it so powerful. No drama, just receipts. When the contribution form finally opened on the course site, I made some tea, settled into my apartment like I was about to build a cozy cabin in Minecraft, and filled it out line by line. I listed exactly what I did: research, writing, data, slides. Then I wrote what each of them had done, which, for two of them, was essentially minimal participation despite multiple reminders. No insults. No spicy comments. Just the truth. I didn't warn them. I didn't send a dramatic group message or threaten to go to the professor. I simply followed the instructions exactly and clicked submit. Then I closed my laptop, put on some low music, and let the night be quiet. As the day of grading and possible presentations crept closer, the lazy group members were still acting like we'd all share the same high mark. They were laughing in class, making plans for the next party, completely unaware that the system they'd ignored was about to speak louder than I ever could. 111:27. Story 4. Execution and Payoff. Grades that tell the real story. So, grading day finally rolled around, and it had that weird mix of dread and calm you get on a cloudy afternoon. The classroom lights were a little dim, the projector humming softly, and outside it was that kind of gray that makes you want to grab your favorite blanket and just listen to cozy stories instead of talking about marketing metrics. Our professor walked in with a stack of papers, and that quiet, focused energy that lets you know they've already made up their mind. No music, no party vibes from the back row this time. Just the low vibrations of people shifting in their seats and trying to look confident. I took a slow breath, like I tell you to do when I'm wandering through a peaceful Minecraft forest to help you drift off to sleep. He started by asking us to give a brief overview of the project. One of the lazy guys jumped in, all smiles, repeating the same buzzwords he'd used in our group chat. For a second it sounded okay, then the professor tilted his head and said, "Interesting. Can you walk me through how you calculated the customer retention projection on page 7? Silence. You could almost hear the mental Windows error sound. The guy stuttered, flipped pages, and finally admitted, I didn't do that part." The professor nodded, then turned to me. "Could you explain it?" And suddenly it felt like when you know exactly where to place the next block in Minecraft to finish a roof. I walked him through the data, the assumptions, why I chose that model. Calm, steady, nothing fancy. He kept going like that. Specific question after specific question, aimed right at the sections each lazy member had claimed. "How did you segment the target audience?" Blank stare. "Why did you choose that pricing strategy?" Nervous laugh. Every time, the professor would let them flail for a moment, then gently redirect to me. Let's dive into the irony of watching people meet the work they pretended to do. When it was over, he pulled out the grading sheet. As stated in the syllabus, this project is individually graded based on documented contribution. He read my name first. 95. Then he went down the list. 70s. 60s. One of them got a 58. You could feel the warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served, even in that chilly classroom. After class, they swarmed me in the hallway outside the apartment-style lecture building. "You sold us out," one of them hissed. I just pointed to the printed contribution policy still clipped to my folder. "We agreed to this week 1. You signed it." No yelling. No revenge speech. Just the system doing what it was designed to do. I walked out into the cool afternoon air, feeling lighter, like I'd just finished a cozy cabin in my Minecraft world and stepped back to admire it. For once, the rules hadn't protected the loudest people. They'd protected the quiet one who actually did the work. And the best part? That wasn't even the last surprise this professor had in store for them. 114:55. The story for reflection. Letting fair systems do the work. Walking out of that building, you can almost feel the protagonist's shoulders drop for the first time all semester. No big speech, no dramatic confrontation in the group chat. They just followed the rules. They told the truth when they were asked, and they let the system do what it was supposed to do. It's such a calm kind of justice, and it gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served without any shouting. I know. Revenge stories for bedtime sounds a little wild, but this is the kind of revenge that's actually really soothing. There's something deeply comfortable about knowing you don't have to start a fight to be heard. The protagonist didn't send angry messages or try to win the group text. They filled out the peer review honestly, turned in their work and trusted that the professor had built a fair structure. That's it. Quiet, simple, and incredibly effective. And the irony here is so gentle but so satisfying. The lazy group members were banking on that group grade like it was a protective bubble. As long as they were attached to someone competent, they assumed they'd coast through the night with zero effort, like showing up late to a party and still expecting the best slice of cake. The whole time, the policy that would undo them was sitting right there in the syllabus, patiently waiting, and they just never bothered to read it. There's a nice little life lesson tucked into that. Sometimes the most powerful move isn't to push back louder, it's to step back and let the existing systems do their work. Not every system is fair, of course, but when you find one that actually protects the people who care and put in effort, it can feel like stumbling into a cozy, well-lit apartment after walking through cold rain. You realize you're not alone. The rules are quietly on your side. While we're talking about comfort, take a second to notice the Minecraft world on screen. The build we've been working on is almost finished now. The walls are up, the roofline is clean, and the soft glow from the windows is starting to spill out onto the path. If you listen closely, the gentle block sounds and low music are like tiny, harmless vibrations in the background, just enough to help you drift off to sleep without pulling you back to the real world. Pattern interrupt. Imagine if peer reviews existed in Minecraft group builds. Half the team AFKs, one person mines all the resources, and then the game quietly hands the diamonds to the one who actually swung the pickaxe. That's basically what happened here. Just with grades instead of gear. No yelling, no drama. Just a calm redistribution of rewards. So as our protagonist heads home lighter, our little Minecraft cabin is turning into the perfect place to end the night. The lights are warm, the path is clear, and there's nothing left to fix, only details to gently tidy up. Welcome back to the channel if you're just tuning in mid-story, and if you're already getting sleepy, that's exactly what this is for. In the next part, we'll see how that last surprise from the professor lands. But for now, just let the soft footsteps and quiet stories carry you a little closer to sleep. If you haven't already, grab your favorite blanket, get comfortable, and let's dive into the next twist in this cozy little tale of quiet accountability. 118:49. Sinking towards sleep. Long-form comfort and predictable patterns. So as we follow those quiet footsteps into the next moment of that professor's last surprise, I want to zoom out with you for a second. This whole thing you're listening to right now is built to be long, slow, and steady on purpose, like a calm walk that just keeps going, so you never have to worry about the path suddenly dropping off underneath you. A lot of you like to put this on and fall asleep halfway through the first or second story, and that's exactly how I designed it. The video runs for hours so that, once you're cozy, you don't have to keep checking the time or wondering if an autoplay ad is going to jolt you awake. If you wake up in the middle of the night, you'll still hear the same soft narration and Minecraft footsteps, like the night never really broke. There's a reason that helps your brain relax. Predictable patterns are basically your mind's version of a weighted blanket. When you know that every story will follow the same gentle arc, problem, quiet planning, that warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served, and then a soft landing, your nervous system gets the message that nothing chaotic is about to jump out. No sudden music spikes, no surprise party-level chaos, just calm, cozy revenge that ends in a sigh instead of a shout. So if you notice your attention drifting, that's not a failure, that's the goal. You don't need to remember every twist, every email, every petty little detail for this to work as a sleep aid. Let the stories wash over you like distant apartment vibrations through the wall. You can kind of follow what's happening, but you don't feel like you have to get up and do anything about it. While I'm talking, the Minecraft world is just looping gently in the background. I'm walking slowly through a quiet forest, listening to the soft crunch of leaves and the faint clink of blocks. The sun sets in this little world, the sky turns that deep purple blue, and then, without any rush, it rises again. No mobs, no jump scares, just the same path, the same trees, maybe a lantern here, a tiny bridge there. It's like the game itself is breathing in and out with you. If your eyes are already closed, you're not missing anything critical on screen. Think of it as an audio walk. My voice, the block sounds, the low music, all looping in a way your brain can predict. That predictability is what lets you finally stop predicting everything else. And as we keep sinking deeper into the night, I'm going to start shortening the arcs of the next few stories. We're moving into softer, cozier vignettes, little slices of kindness and gentle, almost sleepy justice. Less dramatic buildup, more quiet payoff. They're perfect for that drowsy point where you're half here, half in a dream, and you just need a simple, satisfying ending to nudge you over the edge. So welcome back to the channel if you've drifted in and out and somehow looped here again. You're exactly where you need to be. Stay comfortable, grab your favorite blanket if you haven't already, and let's dive into those shorter, softer stories that are waiting just ahead. 122. 27. Mini Story 5. The Library Seat Hog and the Quiet Reservation. Since you're already cozy and settled, this next one is a tiny, very gentle revenge story. Nothing dramatic, nothing loud. Just a quiet little moment of fairness that might give you that warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served while the Minecraft sky slowly shifts from day to night in the background. So welcome back to the channel if your mind wandered for a bit there. We're still walking slowly through this peaceful world, soft block sounds tapping like distant rain. And this time, our story lives in a campus library. You know the kind of place, low music humming in your headphones, fluorescent lights softened by tired eyes, and rows of tables where everyone is just trying to survive the semester. In this story, I'm a student who has one favorite spot. It's right by the window, with a view of a quiet courtyard, just enough natural light to feel comfortable, and an outlet that doesn't spark or buzz, perfect for a long night of studying, or honestly, just pretending to study while you drift in and out of sleep. But there's a problem. Every time I walk in, that perfect table is taken. Not by a person, though. By a carefully arranged pile of stuff. A backpack, a jacket, a water bottle, sometimes even a random notebook left wide open like a scarecrow made out of school supplies. Hours go by, and nobody sits there. It's like someone reserved an apartment in the library and only visits for the occasional 5-minute check-in. I'd circle the floor, hoping today would be different, but no. Same ghost setup, same empty chair, same low-key irritation. There's something uniquely annoying about being exhausted, needing a seat, and staring at an empty throne guarded by a hoodie. One especially long afternoon after another slow lap around the stacks, I finally wandered over to the front desk. The librarian was there, speaking in that soft library voice that somehow cuts through the silence without ever feeling harsh. I asked, as politely as I could, if it was actually okay for people to hold a table all day with just their stuff. She gave this knowing little smile, like she'd been waiting for someone to ask. Turns out, the library had just introduced a quiet reservation policy. There was a simple sign-up sheet for the popular tables, including my beloved window spot. You write your name, your time slot, and if you're not physically there for more than a short grace period, you lose the reservation. So, the next day, I came in early. I walked straight to the sheet, hand a little shaky from too much coffee and not enough sleep, and I wrote my name in that window slot. It felt oddly official, like signing a tiny treaty. Then I settled in with my laptop, the soft Minecraft footsteps in my headphones blending with the real-life shuffling of pages. Right on schedule, the seat hog finally appeared. They headed over with that familiar armful of belongings, clearly expecting their usual private kingdom. But this time, there I was, already plugged in, name neatly written on the reservation sheet. They hovered, clearly annoyed, and went to the librarian. I watched the whole thing from my cozy little corner. The librarian checked the list, glanced over at me and calmly explained that the table was reserved under my name and that unattended belongings couldn't hold a spot anymore. The seat hog tried to argue, but the rules were simple, written down, and gently enforced. Eventually they gathered their things and moved to an open table that had been empty all along. No shouting, no scene, just a soft reset of what fair looked like in that room. From then on, people actually used the sign-up sheet. The popular tables rotated more fairly, and the ghost backpack kingdom finally dissolved. I got my peaceful window seat for my scheduled times, the library stayed calm, and everyone quietly adjusted to the new normal. And as I sat there, watching the sun slide down behind the campus buildings, it felt a little like this Minecraft world we're wandering through right now, organized, predictable, and safe enough to relax in. Of course, not every story stays this gentle. Some people push a lot harder against the rules, and that's where the next story starts to get interesting. 127, 16, Mini Story 6, The Loud Texter in the Quiet Car. And that's where the next story starts to get interesting, but in a very gentle way. So, welcome back to the channel, and if you've just joined us mid-ride here, go ahead and grab your favorite blanket, settle in, and listen to this one like you're sitting with me in a cozy Minecraft train station. In this story, I'm on an actual train, in the designated quiet car. You know the vibe. Low lighting, people half asleep, Soft page turns, the faint hiss of the air system. It's the public transportation version of peaceful Minecraft biomes, designed to help you drift off to sleep between cities. At least, that's the theory. In reality, there's one passenger a few rows ahead who has clearly decided the rules are more like suggestions. Their phone is on full volume, blasting little video clips and voice messages. Every few minutes there's a new burst of music, a loud notification, or someone shouting, laughing through the speaker. It feels like someone tried to host a party in the middle of a library. I'm trying to stay in my own little bubble. I've got a calm playlist on at a low volume, the kind of soft music that feels like walking slowly through a Minecraft forest at night, just listening to the gentle block sounds and distant ambient vibrations. I open my book and focus on the words. For a few seconds at a time, it works. My eyes skim the page, my breathing slows, and the train's steady motion starts to rock me toward that cozy, drifting place. Then another video blares. My brain jumps like I've just turned a corner and seen a creeper. Even though we're in peaceful mode tonight, I turn my volume up a tiny bit, then back down because I still want to respect the quiet car. I try counting breaths, watching the city lights slip by, grounding myself in the rhythm of the wheels on the tracks. Here's the pattern interrupt. Instead of imagining some dramatic revenge, I remember something simple. The quiet car has rules for a reason, and there are people whose whole job is to keep it comfortable. So I stand up, walk calmly to the little doorway where the conductor is checking tickets, and in my softest voice I say, "Hey, would you mind making a quick announcement about the quiet car? There's a phone playing pretty loud up there." No anger, no confrontation, just using the system that's already there. A minute later, the intercom crackles on. The conductor's voice comes through, steady and kind, like a narrator in the background of a long video. "Ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder that this is our designated quiet car. Please keep conversations to a whisper and use headphones for any devices. Thank you for helping keep this space peaceful." He walks slowly through the aisle, and as he passes the noisy passenger, there's this visible moment of realization. They fumble with their phone, glance around at all the people pretending not to stare, and then, finally, pull out a pair of headphones from their bag. The next video plays in a muffled, private way only they can hear. The change is almost instant. The carriage settles back into that soft, shared hush. Pages turn. Someone sighs contentedly. Outside, the sky is dimming into that deep blue that always makes me think of Minecraft's early night, when the world is calm and the day's work is done. I slip back into my seat, open my book, and feel that warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served in the gentlest way possible. No scene, no argument, just a quiet reminder and a quiet fix. The rest of the ride passes in smooth, uninterrupted silence, like walking a lantern-lit path through a peaceful village. And as the train glides toward the next station, it sets us up perfectly for our next story, where the rules are still there, but the person breaking them pushes a little harder, and the solution has to be just a bit more creative. 131:44. Final wind down. From stories of justice to simple stillness. So from that slightly more creative solution, I want to gently zoom the camera out a bit. If you're still here with me, welcome back to the channel in this softer part of the night, where the big swings of revenge start to quiet down, and everything gets a little more blurry at the edges. We've walked through a lot together tonight: office drama, apartment chaos, petty neighbors, and those tiny, precise fixes that bring back that warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served. If you're still awake, you've basically taken a whole nighttime journey with me, hopping from story to story while the Minecraft world just kept moving calmly underneath. Maybe you remember a particular moment. A landlord finally backing off, a boss getting called out, a roommate realizing they pushed too far, or maybe it's all starting to blend into one long, cozy train ride. Either way, you've stayed with every twist and turn, and that alone says your brain has been working hard, even while you're trying to help you drift off to sleep. Underneath all of these stories, there's been a quiet pattern. Nobody needed explosions or shouting matches, just patient, thoughtful responses to unfairness. People gathered proof, waited, breathed, and then nudged the situation back into balance. It's like placing one Minecraft block at a time until a messy hole becomes a smooth little path lit by lanterns. Nothing flashy, just steady. So as we start winding down, you're invited to put your own frustrations on the shelf for the night. Whatever unfair thing tried to follow you into bed, a weird email, a rude comment, a noisy party in the next apartment, doesn't need a perfect answer right now. Not every problem has to be solved before you can sleep. Some of them can just sit in a little mental chest closed for the night, waiting for a calmer version of you tomorrow. Instead, let's dive into the present moment. Notice the way your pillow is holding your head, the way the mattress supports the rest of you so you don't have to hold yourself up anymore. Feel the weight of your blanket or whatever you're using to stay comfortable, gently pressing you down in the best possible way, like gravity giving you a hug. If you've actually grabbed your favorite blanket, let your hands feel the texture for a second. The fabric, the temperature, the tiny vibrations of your own breathing beneath it. In the background, the Minecraft sounds are still there. Soft footsteps, a block being placed, maybe little bits of music fading in and out like distant waves. From here on, my narration is going to slow down and thin out, giving more and more space for silence and those ambient sounds to carry you the rest of the way. Fewer words, longer pauses, like walking out of the busy part of town and into a quiet field under a clear night sky. You don't have to listen closely anymore. You can let the stories blur, let the screen fade from your attention, and let your thoughts drift in gentle circles. I'll still be here a little longer, but the video will slowly become more about the sound of placing blocks and less about the details, so your mind can finally let go and slide into sleep without needing to keep track of anything at all. 135:26 Outro. Thank you for being here, soft and sleepy. And as that happens, I just want to say a quiet thank you for being here with me tonight. Out of all the videos and all the noise you could have in the background, you chose this little cozy corner of Minecraft and stories, and that honestly means a lot. Whether you're still awake and listening to every word, or you're half asleep and my voice is starting to sound like distant apartment vibrations, you're welcome here. You don't have to focus. You don't have to follow the plot. You can just let the soft sounds and the slow, steady movements help you drift off to sleep. If you're new, welcome back to the channel in advance for the next night you wander in here. And if you've been here before, if this is part of your nightly routine now, thank you for trusting me with your sleep. That's a pretty personal thing, letting someone's voice be the last thing you hear before you drift off. Very softly, I'll just mention this once. If these videos help you relax, you're always welcome to subscribe or leave a comment sometime tomorrow, when you're more awake and your brain has fully rebooted. Tonight, you don't have to tap anything, you don't have to hunt for the like button in the dark, you don't even have to remember what story we ended on. There is absolutely no pressure to interact right now. Your only job in this moment is to rest. Let your shoulders sink a little deeper into whatever you're lying on. Let your jaw loosen. Let your eyes grow heavy. Think of the Minecraft world on screen as a safe, quiet place we built together, one block at a time, just for this night. If you'd like, you can keep the video playing and let the remaining Minecraft ambience turn into a kind of gentle white noise. The soft footsteps, the calm music, the little clicks of placing blocks are all there to make things more comfortable, not to demand attention. You can imagine we're just walking slowly through a peaceful biome, lanterns glowing, no mobs, no party, no drama, just calm. Here's a tiny pattern interrupt for your sleepy brain. You might notice at some point that you completely missed the end of this sentence. That's actually perfect. That means your mind is finally letting go of the day. I'll be here with more cozy, sleep-friendly story sessions in the future, mixing that warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served with soft, predictable sounds to help you wind down. So any night you need it, you can grab your favorite blanket, come back to this little world, and let's dive into another quiet adventure together. For now, though, you don't need to do anything at all. Just breathe, listen to the gentle sounds, and let the rest of the night take care of itself. 138. Those 38s. Extended ambient fade. Quiet blocks, quieter thoughts. For now, though, you don't need to do anything at all. Just breathe, listen to the gentle sounds, and let the rest of the night take care of itself. We're just going to stay here together for a little while longer, in this cozy Minecraft apartment of a world, and let everything get quieter. No more wild stories, no more elaborate revenge plans, just soft footsteps and the faint little vibrations of blocks being placed far off in the distance. Almost like music, but simpler. Softer. You might notice the screen now is calm and slow. I'm just walking along this path we built earlier, moving at an easy pace. Each step is a tiny sound. Sand, grass, maybe a wooden plank here and there. Between those sounds, there's more and more space. More silence for your thoughts to stretch out and yawn. The moon is starting to slide down the sky. You can see it, pale and steady, drifting behind the square clouds. I'm not really doing much, just turning slowly. Looking up, watching the colors fade from deep blue to that softer, sleepy gray. Nothing to keep track of, nothing to remember. If you're still awake, you might feel your mind trying to latch onto something, a leftover detail from one of the stories, a line of dialogue. Maybe even that warm, fuzzy feeling of justice being served. You can let all of that drift to the edges now. You don't have to follow a plot anymore. Just sound, just light. Out here, in this little Minecraft night, there's a shore in the distance. I'm walking toward it, very slowly. You'll hear the footsteps change as we reach the sand. Then the soft hush of water, looping the same gentle way over and over, like it's practicing how to help you drift off to sleep. If a thought pops up, you can imagine it's just another block, placed and then forgotten. As the sounds keep repeating, you might notice my words coming less often. Longer pauses, more room for the game to breathe. That's on purpose. Your brain loves predictable, low, steady noise when it's time for sleep. It hears the footsteps, the water, maybe a faint breeze, and decides, okay, we're safe. We can power down now. Before I really fade into the background, give your body one last little check-in. Soften your forehead. Let your eyebrows drop. The muscles around your eyes can melt, like you're setting down something heavy you didn't realize you were carrying. Let your jaw hang loose. Unclench your hands. Let your shoulders sink into whatever you're resting on. If you haven't already, grab your favorite blanket and let it settle around you so you feel completely supported, completely comfortable. You don't have to listen closely anymore. My voice is just another quiet sound in the room, like distant music from a party you're not expected to attend. In a moment, I'm going to stop talking and just keep walking in this world. Slow steps, gentle turns, maybe a lantern or two placed down, very quietly, to light the path. You can close your eyes now if you haven't yet. There's nothing important to see, just soft movement and softer sound.